Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. So, folks, we're going to talk about this because this literally just broke across the wire. Just got reported by, all the major, NFL analysts, major NFL newsbreakers, Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, Tom Pelissaro. They all have just reported the exact same thing. The report is that with the Cincinnati Bengals being at an impasse with star edge rusher Trey Hendrickson, that they are now officially going to start listening. They are going to start entertaining potential trade offers for Trey Hendrickson. And I knew as soon as I heard the news that the Bengals were going to actually entertain trade offers, I was like, oh God, I already know where this is going. I know 100% where this is going. I already know that somebody, especially a lot of Lions fans, are going to just take a look at this news and they're going to run with it like wildfire. And they are absolutely going to be like, this is our moment. This is our chance. This is where we will get the opportunity to cement the Super Bowl run, the Super Bowl legacy that we're looking for. I already know that is exactly where people are going. And I know that it's going to happen. So what this video is going to serve as a preemptive strike to try and get people to stop for half a second to actually engage reason, engage logic, and engage common sense as to why do not take the bait. Do not fall and be fooled with this idea that the Lions have to make this move. Do not be under the persuasion that this is a move that the Lions absolutely have to entertain, they have to talk about possibly making. Because I'm telling you this right now, they do not have to do it. They absolutely 100% do not have to do it, and I'm going to take it even a step further. Not only do they not have to do it, they should not do it. And there's a couple reasons why. First and foremost here, I've said this before, I don't know how many times. There is absolutely no reason why the Lions should all of a sudden change how they've been conducting business. There's absolutely no reason to change the methodology, to change the process of how you have gotten where you are. I understand the allure, I understand the attraction to trading for a big-time player like Trey Hendrickson. Your team gets in the news, everybody now starts talking about you, everybody views you in a different light, and you know what? That's great, grand, and glorious for, the week or two that you have that news cycle. Because, yeah, that's what everybody's going to talk about. They're going to talk about the trade, they're going to talk about the details, they're going to talk about what it means for both teams, they're going to talk about the team, what it means for them moving forward that acquires Trey Hendrickson. That's all going to be nice, great, grand, and glorious to talk about. But I'm going to tell you this right now. That is going to eventually fade. It is eventually going to no longer have the allure or attraction to it once we actually get into the full-on, modicum and, process of the actual season. It's not going to maintain itself. Now, what will happen is that, with Trey Hendrickson being the type of player that he is, whatever team winds up getting him, obviously it's going to be able to allow them to, enhance their pass rush, enable them to get them further after the quarterback, all that nonsense. And that's all good. I'm not going to dismiss that. But The Lions have not made this team by chasing after massive trades, which put them in a really, really tricky spot. The only time that the Lions and trade ever comes up is when we're talking about drafting. That's the only time it ever comes up. And I'm going to tell you this right now. When it comes to that particular process, it has proven itself to be more successful and more lucrative 100 times over than trading away tons of draft capital to get a player that, yes, while he is established, while he's one of the best in the NFL, while he's one of the best at his position, it doesn't have the same return. It does not have the same effect as drafting players, building them up, grooming them, and making them into your own type of guys. That is what the Lions are known for. That is what the Lions have built their entire team on. We draft guys that fit us. We go after guys that are, part of our mindset. They are part of what we are. And I'm not saying that Trey Hendrickson couldn't be that guy. I'm not even saying that he isn't that kind of a guy. Because, based upon the way he plays, based upon the type of attitude that he has in terms of his own craft, in terms of how, he goes about his business, it seems like he is. But the problem is that when you start talking about trading for these big-time players, it leads into the second part of this problem, the cost. I'm going to tell you this right now, and I've been talking about this for quite a while when it comes to the whole Trey Hendrickson nonsense. Everybody thought, and everybody has been continuing to think on the back burner, kind of keeping it on a low simmer, that getting Trey Hendrickson would absolutely secure the Lions' Super Bowl chances. And you know what? Chances are it probably would. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to try and take that away. But you know what else it would secure? It would absolutely secure that the Lions would pull a 2021 Rams. It would absolutely 100% lock that into effect. Because I'm telling you this right now. I know Lions fans, they want a Super Bowl. They are desperate. They would kill for a Super Bowl if they could. But I'm telling you this right now. I would much rather have multiple Super Bowls than just one. I would much rather build a dynasty. Be able to say, hey, you know what? We can go to Super Bowl year after year after year, be a contender for year after year after year. Not just 1 year, not just 2 years, not just 3 years, but multiple years. And the way you do that is by not biting at these kinds of trades. The only reason that a trade like this would even make sense for the Lions is if the draft compensation that they would have to give up is not going to break the piggy bank. That's the only way it would make sense. And then to further add on top of that, they would have to find a way to get Trey Hendrickson to be willing to take less money than probably what he's even willing to consider. Because let's think about that. What's the main reason, I'm not even going to say main reason, what is the only reason why Trey Hendrickson wants to be, either in the situation where he's looking for a new team, or he wants to get paid what he's paid? Because he believes and he knows that he's one of those types of guys. Well, here's the problem. That's all great, grand, and glorious, and I'm not saying that Trey Hendrickson has not earned that kind of money. I'm not saying he hasn't earned that contract. But there's a problem with the Lions trying to facilitate, trying to support, trying to make sure that that could happen. They have all these other guys that they have to pay that are coming up, and they simply do not have the ability to turn off the salary cap like in Madden and just say, hey, you know what? It don't matter. We're just going to spend like we got money. We're just going to spend money like it's water. That's not how it works. The Lions still have to find a way to pay for Aiden Hutchinson. They still have to find a way to pay for JMO, for Gibbs, for Branch, for Laporta. Those are all guys that are going to require big-time contracts. And just an FYI, they've also earned those contracts. But here's what I know about those guys compared to Trey Hendrickson. They're willing to work with the team. They're willing to say, hey, you know what? This is all about team here. I know I'm going to get mine. I know I'm going to get paid, but I don't necessarily have to be the number one guy that's going to get paid. I don't necessarily have to reset the market. Because think about that. Think about that realistically. Ever since Brad Holmes has been in charge of the Lions, for every single contract that he has signed, whether it's been Goff, whether it has been Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aleem McNeil, Kirby Joseph, all those main guys, none of them has reset the market for the positions that they're in. The only one that's come relatively close has been, Kirby Joseph's contract. But even that contract was extremely team-friendly in how it's broken down and structured. I can tell you this right now. I do not believe that that's going to be the case with Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson is not in the same position as guys like Goff, guys like Joseph, guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Ali McNeil. He's at that point in his career where he realizes that this is likely going to be the last time he's going to be able to get a really, really big contract. So not only is he playing for security in terms of what it means for him in the future, but he's also playing so that way he can get what he believes he's earned. And guys like that, they're not going to want to compromise a whole hell of a lot when it comes to the whole dollar figure. They're not going to. And then you have to further think about it from this perspective. After all the dealings that he's had with the Bengals, and the Bengals are notorious for being one of the cheapest, one of the most difficult negotiating organizations in the entire NFL, he's not going to want to play games with whoever trades for him. He's going to be like, listen, if I get traded, it is my expectation as soon as we walk in the door and I go into that GM's office, whoever cuts the contracts, I'm getting paid. We're not playing any games here. I've been playing games with the freaking Cincinnati Bengals front office for the last 2-3 years here. I want what I'm owed. I'm not going to play for a penny. I'm not going to play for a penny less. And I'm telling you this right now. That's not the way the Lions are going to do things. First and foremost here, they've got all these other guys that they're already evaluating right now. Guys that they are looking at to make sure, hey, you know what? Do these guys fit our team? Do these guys fit our culture? It would be an extreme disservice, an insult to those players who have busted their ass to all of a sudden bring in a guy who has not done one single down-up, not done one single drill with those players, and then all of a sudden you trade for him, and then you make him, the prodigal son. Hey, you know what? Welcome home. Let's make a feast with the fattened calf, and let's welcome you on in. It's like, I get this guy's one of the best that's ever played the game. I get this guy's one of the best in the NFL right now, but he's not been here like the rest of us for the last 3-4 weeks and, going into the last couple of months, going back to OTAs and all that nonsense. That would send an absolutely wrong message in the Lions training camp and in their locker room. Because it's like, that's not how they've done things. That's not how they have built things. That's not the culture that they have instilled with their players. But then to add further to this whole issue, like I've said, you're dealing with a situation where if the Lions make this kind of a move, it is going to destroy everything they have built. They have built everything on being smart, on being methodical, and on building things the correct way, not taking shortcuts. This is a shortcut kind of a move. This is a kind of a move that some team makes that is desperate to try and win. The Lions are not desperate. They are absolutely not desperate. This would be a desperation move. This is a move that a team like, the Cowboys would make. This is a move that teams like, those middling teams that are just trying to figure a way to get out of the basement or getting, back into relevancy would make. The Lions are not, in that position. They're definitely relevant. They're not desperate. But then the final thing you have to think about this is, okay, here, let's back up here and let's go back to all the news and all the reports that we've been hearing about the Lions defense out of training camp. Why in the ever-living hell would you bring in a guy like Trey Hendrickson, as damn good as he is, when your defense has been absolutely lighting up our offense? Think about that. Before we had the whole situation with the Miami Dolphins and the joint training camp practices where our offense just absolutely came alive because, oh, that's right, they weren't going against our defense anymore. What was the reports that everybody wanted to talk about as the biggest indicator as to why Ben Johnson was the reason why our offense was the reason the way it was? Oh, the offense is having problems. The offense is having a bit of a rocky transition, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we already found out that the reason that was the case is because of how damn good, how damn tough, how sticky our coverage is, how ridiculously physical our defense is. Our first team defense, when it goes up against our first team offense, it gives our first team offense an absolute fight. And think about that. Our number one offense last year was the best offense in the league. So let me ask you this question. What makes more sense? trading away a potential high draft pick and then having to spend all of the money that it would take to get him into the building and actually play, because let's understand something here. Trey Hendrickson is not going to play just by being traded. He's going to want to be traded and signed before he ever steps a freaking foot out on the field. That's going to be the narrative. That's going to be the terms of how this whole thing's going to go down. That's not going to happen with the Lions. The Lions have got guys that are already there that are committed to the process. They're committed to the team. They're committed to their teammates. They are not going to give them any of that freaking guff. They're not going to give them any of those problems. So why, when your defense has been absolutely just been a full step ahead, of the best offense in football, would you all of a sudden completely reverse all that work, buck that trend, say, you know what, we're going to throw out the entire process that's gotten us here just to go after one player. A great player, mind you, because I will continue to say that Trey Hendrickson is a great player. There's no way about that you could say anything otherwise. But it absolutely makes no sense for the Lions. It would be a complete betrayal to everything they have done up until this point. And it would also be a complete betrayal to the locker room, to the players. It would just absolutely not work. I understand the allure, I understand the attraction, and I know that there are some people that are going to drop comments and say, but David, can't you see that this would secure our Super Bowl hopes? Can't you see that this would make the big difference to make us that kind of player and that kind of team? Absolutely, I could. But again, it's not worth it. It's not worth for just one glorious run, one glorious bite at that apple. I want multiple bites. I want the whole damn apple. I don't want just to have one little nibble. I want it all. And that's exactly what the Lions want too. And plus on top of that, why would you invest all this time, all this money, all these resources in a player that, correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe he's 30, about to be 31 as an edge rusher. That means he's got maybe 2-3 more good years left in him. Why not take another quality draft pick to find a guy that, maybe is not Aiden Hutchinson level, but he's pretty damn close, and then you can have him for the next, 5-10 years, and you're not going to have to pay even a fraction of what you'd have to pay in terms of both draft compensation given up and in terms of money given up to get Trey Hendrickson. That's why I'm saying the Lions are not going to make this kind of move. It betrays everything that they have done to get to this point. If we were talking about the Lions from 10 years ago, then absolutely this would be a move that they would try to make. Because this is a move that the old Lions would desperately want to try. Because you know what? It gets their name in the news. It gets people talking about them. It gets people to start changing their minds about them. That's what the SOL Lions would have done. That's what those Lions would have done. But not these Lions. Not a chance in hell. And it's the right move to not even entertain it. The only way you entertain it is if the draft compensation makes sense, which I would say this. For the Lions, I don't think they would entertain even more than a second-round draft pick. I don't think they would. And it would only work if Trey Hendrickson is actually willing to work on contract negotiations, which, again, I don't think he will. He's been pretty much being hamstrung for the last couple of years in Cincinnati by taking less than what he actually should be getting paid. And I guarantee you this, his patience is gone. He's like, listen, I've been playing for less than the other premier edge rushers, and my statistics prove them that I should be paid like a premier edge rusher. I guarantee you he's not going to want to take less than what he feels he's owed for. And the Lions are not going to want to pay both him and Aiden Hutchinson while jeopardizing trying to get everybody else under contract, just so that way they can have one damn good run to go and get that Super Bowl. Again, the Lions are about building a contender for multiple years. They're trying to build a dynasty. They're not trying to build a shooting star. That's the facts. I know some people are not going to want to hear that. I know some people aren't going to like to hear that. But then again, you still have to remember this. Why would you go after Trey Hendrickson, who you're both going to have to trade compensation for and sign, when you still got Zadarius Smith in the wings, who has expressly stated he wants to come back and play for us? The only thing that's holding it up is what potential compensation it would require in terms of a contract. And I guarantee you this, Zadarius Smith is not going to come anywhere close to costing the Lions the same way Trey Hendrickson would. Not in terms of the contract, and also when you factor in the draft compensation we'd have to give up to get him. So literally, on every single front, it makes no damn sense. Every single damn front. That's why I'm saying, don't take the bait. Don't entertain the idea. Let it lie. Let it pass you by, and let it roll off your back like water off a duck's. It's not worth it. But anyway, I just had to talk about this because I know how certain Lions fans are. I know how certain people get when they hear news like this. They're just like, oh my God, we got to go and make this move because it would make everything good for us. No, it wouldn't. It would make one good thing out of it, and there'd be a whole hell of a lot of bad things that would come with it. There's no way around that. The logic I've presented, the common sense I've presented, the history, how the Lions do things, it all pretty much points. It's not going to happen. So do not get your hopes up. Do not get your, dreams all into this bubble, and then when it doesn't happen, just absolutely turn, bitter about it. I'm trying to prevent that. Like I said, this is a preemptive strike to try and say, don't even try. Don't even think about it. It's not going to happen. But anyway, I've said my piece on this. I believe I'm going to make one more episode a day, so stay tuned for that. But having said that, I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode I got coming out, or the next episode that's coming up in the queue after you're done watching this one. If you like the content, I hope to gain your subscription. But if you also have subscribed in the past or just subscribed like I said and have not yet done so, please make sure you hit that bell notification icon so that you guys never miss any more content I push out. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you all got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.